What's good, y'all? It's your boy BioSpider 3.0, keeping the action going with the Mafex number 130, Avengers Endgame Captain America. Super excited for this video, y'all. First of all, I want to say happy Memorial Day weekend. I am shooting this on Saturday of Memorial Day weekend, which is coming up on Monday. So happy Memorial Day to you all, when it gets here, of course. And, in honor of that, I thought we would review a very special figure that I just got in recently. I know you guys may have seen my post about that Maximum Spider-Man and the, us reaching 200 subscribers. So, shout outs to the gang, man. Appreciate all you guys that have been subscribing lately. We did hit, our 200 milestone recently. So I just want to say thank you very, very much for that. And I am going to have a special video for that on the channel. Hopefully by this coming week. I've just been so busy lately. I haven't really had time to, shoot that video just yet, but I will have that up very soon. So be looking forward to that. And, before we get to that Maximum Spider-Man review, I did say that I wanted to review a couple of figures that I got in recently. And this guy happens to be one of them. So here we go. Finally got my in-game Captain America. I've been wanting this guy since the movie came out. And I was really, really close to getting the Marvel Legends, worthy Captain America figure. I think that was like a Walmart exclusive, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that, but I believe he was like a Walmart exclusive. And that was one of the best, like, at the time, that was for sure like the best looking Marvel Legends Captain America figure from, based on the MCU that I had seen, like easily beat any of the previous releases, and I thought it looked really good. I was ready to go for it until I found out that Mafex was gonna, release their version, of course. I wasn't a big fan of the original SH Figure Arts release that came out, and then they did a Final Battle edition, which actually I think did make like quite a few good improvements, but it still wasn't quite what I wanted. And for me personally, when it comes to like MCU figures, I usually don't like to collect the SHF stuff just because I think Mafex has a better overall scale and detail, and a lot of times I like the accessories a little more that come with Mafex over the SHF stuff. But not to say that those aren't good figures, and if you're a SHF collector, that's still a very solid, offering, is that Final Battle edition. But I decided to go with this one, and I think he looks really good. So apologize for the glare, but I'm gonna lead him forward. Hopefully you can see a little better now what he looks like in the packaging. We got Avengers Endgame, Mafex number 130, Medicom Toys, our Avengers logo there in the corner, Captain America, in-game version, action figure. Got a nice product shot of Cap right there with an angry head on. You can see he comes with alternate heads. He's got a unmasked Steve Rogers head, and then he has his angry head right there, and then an empty cowl, for like his face that he can hold. He's got all these hands and stuff. We'll see that on the back. So coming around to the side, we have a nice shot of Cap right there wielding Mjolnir. You'll see, of course, he's got Mjolnir with an electric effect on it. And we've got this, he's holding the shield right there. Got the Avengers logo right there. Coming to the back, it's where all the good stuff is. We got Cap in a kind of vanilla pose. Well, not vanilla pose, but he's holding his shield kind of in a battle stance, really. Holding Mjolnir and then the shield, and you can see what he comes with. So you can see we've got a regular shield, and then we have a broken battle damage shield, which is a big accessory for me for this particular version of Cap. We've got the electric effect from Mjolnir, again the empty cowl, Mjolnir, and then we have a swinging Mjolnir effect, which looks really awesome. Can't wait to show you guys that. And then of course the 3 alternate heads that Cap comes with. We got him throwing the shield, and then we've got him using the swinging effect while holding the shield. And then coming to the other side, we got a nice shot of him kind of mid-air. This looks like basically in the movie when he's about to, try to come down on Thanos after striking him with a whole bunch of lightning. That was an awesome scene, by the way. All right. And, Mafex number 130, Captain America in-game version again. Avengers logo, back to the front. We got pretty much the same thing at the top, and then Marvel at the bottom, legalese, all that good stuff, and not too much more. So let's go ahead and get right into it, man. Let's crack this guy open. And I want to give a huge shout out to a Dog Nut on eBay. Really appreciate you, my guy, for hooking me up with this figure. He did give me the okay to give him a shout out, so thank you very, very much, sir. Appreciate you for finally getting this guy to me. It's a long awaited figure for sure. And this guy goes for crazy prices on the aftermarket, man. I wish I had gotten him, you know, when he had first been released, because he is very expensive on the aftermarket these days. I'm not gonna lie to you guys and say I paid a good price for him, but I figured, you know, the longer I wait, the more expensive he's going to get. So let me go ahead and just pick him up now. And I've been wanting to complete my big 3 for an in-game display, so yeah, definitely had to say screw it and pull the trigger on him. All right, but here we go. Got him out the packaging. I'm just gonna see if I can get him standing real quick here. Alright, Cap, let's see how well your balance is, sir. Put your balance to the test. Alright, here we go. So here we go. We have in-game Cap out of the packaging. Booyah. He feels a little off balance, but he's kind of in an awkward stance, but I think he'll be able to hold his balance well enough for right now. All right, so we got a nice look at him. Let's go ahead and just put him on the rotating display stand so we can get a 360 look off top. Let's put Cap up here and hope that he doesn't fall. Let's get some rotation going right now. All right, so there he goes. I kind of felt like he was gonna fall over. His feet are a little tricky to, I guess, maneuver or articulate, but let me see if I can get him in a more solid stance here. Okay, here we go. Might have to bend his knees or something a little bit. That still feels a little. Okay, let's try this. Let me stop it first. Alright, try this again. Trying to make sure he has a solid footing. I feel nervous. See that? Yeah, it feels like he's gonna fall over any minute. I think it's kind of these boot things at the bottom that are making him that way, making him have a tough time to stand up. Let's see. Let's see if he keeps his balance this time. Oh, no, they're already falling over. All right, hold on one sec. Let me stop this real quick, yo. All right, let's first get his feet situated so that he can stand properly. Okay. So his legs a little bit here. Okay. All right, let's try this. Here we go. Make sure our lighting is good in here. Okay, cool. Okay, I think he'll be able to, hold his own this time. But yeah, there you go. There is a 360 look at Cap on the rotating display stand. And yeah, all around, I do like the details. Aesthetics wise, I think he looks pretty good. First impressions out of the package, I think he looks pretty nice, man. Really, really like how he looks. So I'm gonna let that go around maybe a couple more times, and then we'll get into his accessories. All right, so we'll give him one more rotation, and then we'll go ahead and stop. All right, so you guys got your look. All right, boom, cool. Let's take him off, move this out the way. All right, so just bringing him in close real quick, just so you guys can get a good sense of the details on him. I think this looks very, very solid. Really, really like the in-game look. I think the in-game costume is definitely one of my favorites, at least for like the MCU version of Cap. You know, the darker blue. It's still got like the classic look from let's see, probably like Winter Soldier and like Age of Ultron. But the blue is like a pretty dark blue, like the darkest blue we've seen on screen for Cap. And then we have the you know, the star, of course, engraved in the middle there, looking excellent. I really like how the star has kind of like this outline or like this, you know, additional etching around it, like a border. I think that's pretty cool. And then we have like this kind of scale mail look for the chest here, very reminiscent to the comics, so that's very awesome. I like that, you know, allusion to the source material. Very, very dope. Coming to, you know, his shoulder pads on the sides, we have that scale mail look continued, and then we got that nice Avengers A logo pretty nicely printed on there, nice and clean. Like how that looks a lot, because Cap is one of the OG Avengers, so he's got to have that logo. But yeah, overall details are looking pretty nice on this guy, pretty solid. And before I forget, I want to say that I do appreciate the fact that for the white in his torso right here, they made it kind of like a dirty look. It's like a very dingy looking white and not a bright white. For you know, because I noticed for these in-game Mafex characters like Thor, Cap, and Iron Man, they overall have like a pretty clean look. They don't look too battle damaged. And then you know, when I was watching like reviews, I was assuming that, you know, the white on him was gonna be like a pretty bright white or whatever, like, you know, like he was gonna look like clean. But they did actually make it kind of like a dirty, dingy white, as you can see, which I like, to kind of make it look a little bit like he's been in, you know, battle, and his suit's gotten a little dirty and scuffed up out there. So I like that a lot. The SH Figure Arts version kind of went to the extreme with the whole, you know, battle damage look as far as like their paint applications and stuff. Wasn't the biggest fan of that, but I get what they were trying to do. But yeah, overall I really like how this Mafex cap looks. So let's go ahead and put them to the side right here. Let's take a look at these accessories. Alrighty. So of course we'll start off with the great Mjolnir, being that that is the one of the main accessories for this particular cap. So if y'all haven't seen in-game by now, I don't know what you're doing, but spoiler alert, Captain America is in fact worthy of wielding Mjolnir, and it is proved in the movie. You know, we all know that scene by now where Thanos is about to like basically impale Thor with his own, you know, axe, his freaking Stormbreaker, and then we see Mjolnir lifting off the ground. And you know, first watch, you probably think that it's Thor, you know, summoning the hammer. I think that's what I thought. And then, of course, the freaking hammer flies and hits Thanos, you know, from behind, comes back, flies into Cap's hand, and that was one of the most epic MCU moments of all time. You know, very few things will ever be able to beat that particular moment in MCU history. That was beyond epic. But yes, we do have Mjolnir for Cap, and it is very nicely done. So if you have the in-game Cap and this in-game, or sorry, the in-game Thor and this in-game Cap, you now will have 3 Mjolnirs in your collection, because this Cap comes with a Mjolnir, which is right here. In-game Thor back there has a Mjolnir in his hand that he comes with, of course, and he actually has another Mjolnir, which was like kind of translucent to, you know, make it look like it was being charged up with lightning. That one came with Thor. So Thor comes with 2 Mjolnirs, and then you have this one with Cap. So that's 3 Mjolnirs. So you should never be short on Mjolnirs. Should you ever lose one, you should have, you know, 2 other ones. So there you go. But yeah, this looks really nice. I love the, you know, engravings of the detail on the side. Nice black wash there to bring out the details. That looks really good. Nice brown wrapping around the handle there, and the silver paint. And we got a nice brown, you know, loop. That looks all pretty good. Nice silver paint apps. Of course, the top, that little circle. I think there's like writing. Let's see, does it say anything? It's like in different, like, it's like magical characters, so I don't think that's in English, but I definitely can't read what that's supposed to say, but it does say something on the top there, so that's pretty cool. So we got Mjolnir. And of course we have the electric effect that comes to wrap around it. So we have this nice electric effect, very similar to the one that came with, Thor for Mjolnir. Same type of deal. So it's gonna wrap basically on the front of Mjolnir to make it look like it's surging around it like that. So you get your nice electric effect from Mjolnir there. That looks really, really good. I actually just watched a review where I saw a guy who did something I'd never seen before. He used this effect and he kind of like he plugged the bottom part of Mjolnir like into the center here, and then he slid the electric effect up like this. And even though I don't think that's technically, how it was meant to be used, I think it actually looks pretty cool if you can get it to stay. Kind of gives you like a different angle of the electricity being used. It's kind of hard to get it to actually like stay up there because you'd have to get the electricity to kind of wrap around Mjolnir. But I think that's kind of like a nice, cool, different look. Never seen anybody do it until that guy, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, so you have that as your accessories, and then we'll take a look at the shield, of course, or shields, I should say. So we get this nice clean shield, of course. Our nice, no scuffs or anything. Nice battle damage free shield, which looks pretty nice. I do notice there are, I don't know if those are like dents or what. Kind of looks like they're intentional though. I don't know if those are supposed to be there, but I'm thinking they are. It kind of seems like the shield is like dented and like almost like 4 points around the shield. You see that? Hopefully you guys can see that on camera. There's like some dents going around. I guess maybe that's some pre-battle damage or like battle damage from his previous fights, maybe from Civil War or something. I don't know, but I think overall the shield looks really good. I really do enjoy the paint apps that they did for this. I think this is like the best looking MCU shield, especially for Endgame. I know that the SH Figure Arts one, it looked nice, but I would say the paint didn't come out looking quite as nice as this. I think they, again, were trying to make a more battle damaged look, so it did look kind of like dingy, I guess, or like, just dull, kind of muted colors in comparison to this one. I like this one a lot. I like the brand new look of this. The nice shiny red, blue, silver paint, and then the star in the middle, very nicely detailed. Yeah, I think that looks really good. And then here's a look at the back of it. So of course he's got these straps, and he's gonna be able to, of course, plug his arm in there if you want him carrying the shield. Nice silver paint and everything. So yeah, that's our regular shield. And real quick, let's take a look at the battle damage version of the shield, the broken one. Because yes, Mr. Thanos, in all his savagery, decided to go ahead and try to humble Cap and basically destroy to smithereens his his poor shield in battle with his crazy physics-defying sword. And sliced through Cap's shield like butter. Alright. Let's move this tray off to the side real quick. Alright, and here is the broken shield, which looks just as fantastic, if not more. Look at that, man. Really, really love the paint apps on this. This is how you do a good battle damaged, paint job for something. This looks really good. Look at all the scuffs, all the marks right there. Very nice, silver paint apps to recreate some battle damage and dirt and grime on the shield, and then you have that just huge chunk just missing from it. Oh man, that is crazy, man. That is a raw look for the shield right there. You can see the side, see how thick it is, the vibranium, man, just freaking torn to smithereens right there. Broken, man, but it looks really, really good. I'm definitely gonna have him displayed a lot with this broken one. Have him going up against my ZD Toys Thanos. I've had my Thor and my Thanos posed up this entire week, just waiting for Cap to join the battle. And my goal is, of course, to get the big three. So next will be Mark 85 Iron Man from Mafex, so that I can have my MCU Trinity going up against my ZD Toys Thanos. But yeah, there's your look at the broken shield, man. Super, super nice. Love it. All right, and then we have the Mjolnir spinning effect. Now, one thing about this effect is that I've seen a lot of reviews on it, and as I'm holding it right now, I can tell you that it is definitely going to be pretty top heavy. So it's a pretty thick effect. Definitely has like some weight to it. And when Cap is trying to hold this, it definitely weighs him down, kind of to the point where his wrist pegs might get like loose on you. So they did, fortunately include a stand for you to use to kind of hold this better. But yeah, this looks really cool, man. I do appreciate the fact that they included this in the accessory section. So we've got like the nice three painted Mjolnirs to kind of make it look, and then the rest are like translucent to make it look like it's in a spinning motion. Look at that. That looks really cool. It's got a peg on the back, obviously, that he can grab onto. I'm just spinning it right there from that point, that center point, and yeah, that is a really nice spinning effect right there. That is gonna look great in like photography or stop motion. Very, very cool effect. And obviously all the paint work, for the handle and everything in between looks really, really good. So you do get that nice spinning effect because we know he does that as he's charging towards Thanos and gives him the business. Puts a smackdown on him. And that was like one of my favorite scenes of the whole fight because unfortunately our Avengers were getting their asses whooped before that. So I was like, man, somebody's got to get a good hit on Thanos. But yeah, let's go ahead and look at the alternate heads we have. So first up for alternate heads, we have the unmasked Steve Rogers head. And I think this looks pretty good, man. I think this is a pretty good likeness to Chris Evans. I know in the past, Mafex hasn't had the best, likenesses when it comes to these live action characters, but I think they've made some significant improvements over time. They've definitely, upped their game with the likeness, especially for like MCU characters and Star Wars and such. So I think this looks really, really good. Love the sculpt. I definitely see Chris Evans in there a lot from, pretty much all angles, I definitely see a little bit of Chris Evans in there. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. A nice stoic, stern face right there. And then you got very nice paint apps for the hair, the dark brown, a little bit of highlights of lighter brown in there too to give it some depth. A little bit of black wash. Yeah, that looks very, very nice all around. Very realistic looking. I like the paint for his ears, the eyes, the mouth, everything looks pretty solid. So I like that a lot. For our next alternate head, we have the angry head, the scowling face, if you will. So we got this one right here, and I like how this one looks. It's pretty good, man. It's better than I thought it was gonna be now that I have it in person, because I feel like sometimes Mafex struggles with the angry faces for a lot of like the live action characters. Their comic book characters, they tend to do like a phenomenal job on like the angry looking faces. But I feel like a lot of times some of their live action ones look kind of, awkward or like a little cheesy. Like the sculpt just doesn't look quite right for their angry faces. But I think this one actually looks pretty good. You can see his mouth is kind of like, he's gritting his teeth. Cheeks are kind of, pointed at, or, his cheeks are, you can see like, the lines around his cheeks. Like you could tell he's angry. Got the, his facial muscles are kind of like pulling in and the eyes are more squinty and he looks angry. And I like that. I think that's a pretty decent sculpt. Got that nice clean A on the top there for the cowl. Pretty nice paint. And a little bit of fuzziness over here, I would say, by like the ears and like where the little strap goes underneath, but not too bad. We got that nice silver little wing thing that goes on the side of Cap's helmet, so I think that looks pretty good. Nice paint apps. So yeah, that looks pretty cool. Nice angry head sculpt. And then we get the empty cowl that he can of course hold when you have the Steve Rogers head on. So we get a nice empty cowl, which will look really, really cool for some photography. So you have him holding this, nice and hollow inside. Again, very nice paint apps. Pretty clean A there. Kind of feels like the A isn't the most symmetrical. I don't know if it's supposed to be, but you know, maybe that's the actual design of it. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's asymmetrical, but that looks pretty nice. I like the sculpting, the attention to detail, like the lines in here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there are some like lines sculpted going back through the helmet. I think that looks pretty cool. A nice strap just hanging there. Very, very cool. So we got the empty cowl, and then we have alternate hands. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pairs of alternate hands for him. So first up in those alternate hands. Oh, before I forget, let me go ahead and show you guys the stand. This is the stand, the clear acrylic stand that is supposed to hold his Mjolnir swinging effect. So you can kind of plant this on there. So yeah, so that his arm won't be weighed down so much. Especially if you want him like in a vanilla pose, just holding it, you definitely want to use the stand so that you don't weaken the integrity of his, you know, joints over time. So definitely use the stand. It is helpful. All right. As far as the alternate hands go, we have some kind of trigger finger pointer hands, which is interesting because you know obviously he doesn't come with any guns or anything, but you know we do get these trigger finger pointed hands. Try to show them off the best I can here. So you can see they're all on like the clear bars, and this is how they look from the front. Pretty nice paint apps though, so I think that looks pretty cool. I guess you could have him like holding onto the shield or Mjolnir. This is probably Mjolnir holding hands, I'm assuming. So yeah, but yeah, you do get 2 trigger finger style hands, and then we have the pointer finger hands, the point and a symbol hands. All right, so we got 2 nice pointer index finger hands like that. Pretty clean paint overall. A little bit of fuzziness around the thumbs and whatnot, but not too bad. Get some focus on that. There you go. Minor paint imperfections, but not too bad. Not too bad. And here's a look at the back. I like the paint for the gloves and everything, and like the flesh tone for where his knuckles kind of show through. I think that looks pretty good. Let's see, did they get the nails and everything? Yeah, I guess they did, huh? It's probably my freaking hand, my skin tone is probably gonna make that look okay. There we go. Kind of clash, but yeah, there you go. So yeah, pretty nice paint apps. Very realistic looking overall. So I like that. Go ahead and put those back. And next in line, we have the kind of grabbing hands. We have some, you know, hands out, kind of clenched, or you know, fingers kind of curled in type hands. I guess for grabbing style poses. So that looks pretty good as well. Pretty nice paint apps on those. And then we have some kind of open like reaching out and grabbing type hands. Some kind of style pose hands like that. So we got, you know, the index and the middle finger slightly curled but more extended out, and then the last 2 fingers are, you know, curling in. So it looks like he's kind of reaching out and grabbing for something. I think that looks pretty cool as well. Again, very nice paint apps overall on those set of hands. And to finish it off, we have mostly like open hands, almost like open palm hands, but they do have like the fingers have a little bit of bend in them. But yeah, we do have these kind of like open 5 hands like that. So I think that looks pretty good as well. Nice details on those. Pretty nicely done. So there you go. And last but not least, you have your shield throwing hands. So these hands come with basically clips already installed into them. And these are the hands that you're going to want to use when you want him throwing the shield. So these are going to clip, basically clamp, you know, onto the bottom of the shield. So like his hands are going to be on top and these little fork pieces will be under, so that it'll give the illusion that he's gripping the shield like that with his hands. So that is pretty cool. These are definitely very important hands to have for a Captain America to pull it off effectively. So there you go. And yeah, that's all his alternate hands. Let's see. Oh yeah, we get the, of course, Mafex display stand. Of course, that's all Mafex figures come with. So I won't take it out of the package, but it's just your basic, acrylic display stand that we've seen several times at this point on the channel. If you haven't seen my, reviews of like the in-game Thor or the Mark, what was it, 45 Iron Man, be sure to watch those because, you'll see these stands. Or you can watch, my Miles Morales Across the Spider-Verse review. We're always getting, these basic acrylic display stands, so nothing too much to show there. But yeah, man, let's that's gonna do it as far as like accessories. So he comes with a really good spread. I think that's plenty of hands. We got both versions of the shield. We got a swinging Mjolnir effect with a stand. Two alternate heads. We got a empty helmet that he can hold. Mjolnir, the electric effect. So I think that's plenty. That is plenty for an in-game Captain America. So you know, I'll do a clean figurine scale rating for this guy in the description as well because I don't want to take too long in this review. But I'll do that in the description. But yeah, as far as accessories, I give him probably like a 10 out of 10. I think that's plenty. But yeah, bringing Cap back in, let's go ahead and get to play and display because we got to see how well this guy poses, right? What can he do? Is he worthy of being a true in-game battle hero, leader of the Avengers? All right. Can you get the Avengers to assemble? All right, here we go. All right, so here we go. Starting with the head. Now, one thing I noticed when I got him out of the package is that the head seemed a little bit loose, and I did try to push it down a little more. I thought maybe like he wasn't all the way down on the ball peg, but I don't know. Maybe his head is just comes loose like that. I believe that this one on eBay said that he was brand new, like factory sealed, I think was in the listing title. So he shouldn't really be played with at all. But I don't know. Maybe I'm not saying the seller like played with him or anything and put it. I don't know. I'd have to read the description again. Maybe he was opened and like displayed and then put back in the box. I don't know. Either way though, like the head, it's not like so loose that it's wobbly or anything like that. I just noticed like a little more looseness than I was expecting. But as far as the head articulation, you can look up about, oh, there it goes popping off. So yeah, let me go ahead. It's one thing about the Mafex, sometimes you don't know how far they're gonna go up before they pop off. Okay, at least his head popped back on very easily. So yeah, I got that back on. And then so looking up, he's able to look up about that far, which is all right. Here's a side view. I would prefer a little bit more, but the thing about it is that his helmet kind of runs into his collar as you push his head back, so that is a little bit of a hindrance there. And then looking down, he does look down very nicely though, so that's nice. You can tuck his chin all the way in. He can look straight down, so that is very, very good. Comes back up, looking side to side, of course. Very, very good. Try to hide the gappage in there between the neck and the head, but yeah, I'm pretty sure you can rotate 360 on it. Yep, we get a full 360 swivel. We got some attitude because the neck is a separate piece and it does kind of move separate of the head, so you can get some really nice nuance, expressive, head tilting and all that, attitude posing. So that is nice. Nice wiggle room on the ball peg. Coming to the arms, we can raise the arms very, very high. I like that a lot. And you'll see that, his shoulder pads, he's not restricted by the shoulder pads, running into like the strap. The way they designed it, his, this upper part is kind of like sunken in so that this has more clearance for the shoulder. And he actually is able to lift up really high despite, the large shape of the shoulder pads. So that is really nice. It doesn't seem like there's going to be any real paint chipping or anything, any paint rub right there. So as long as you don't force it too high, it should be fine. So that's very, very nice to see. And the joint feels very nice, very tight and sturdy, but not too tight, not like squeaky tight, but definitely no looseness, which is nice to see. We've got our bicep swivel cut in there. So we do have a bicep swivel, which functions pretty nicely. Again, pretty tight. I like that a lot. just like very minimal squeakiness, but you can always add some shock oil or something like that for your tight joints, and that should, kind of lube it up and reduce some of the friction, some of that squeakiness. We have a double jointed elbow. So let's go ahead and see. Oh, pop the arm off. So let's see. Oh no. Okay, here we go. So let's get this arm back in. Get that back in there. Oh man. Uh-oh. His arm is coming apart. Okay, here we go. Let's see. This might be a little tricky to do. So I'm going to do it off camera, but see, this is why reviews are important, right? Got to know about these issues ahead of time. Okay, there we go. I think I got it back in. Oh, nope, did not. Hold up. Okay, let's see your cap. Okay. Okay, there we go. I think it's in there. Hold up. Please tell me it's in there. Okay, I think it's in there, but now the bicep does feel looser, so I'm gonna try to make sure, push it in as much as I can. Oh no, it came out again. Oh man, yeah. So there is a little bit of an issue here. I'll explain it to you guys in just a second, but I want to get his arm back in first. Oh, come on, Cap. Man. Oh man, yeah, Mafex does a kind of tricky thing when it comes to these joints. Oh man, okay, let me try to get this back in there, guys. Apologize. Did not see his arm coming out like that. Just can't get it to pop back into this socket right here. The thing about it is Mafex kind of designs the bicep and the forearm as like separate pieces, which can be a little problematic because when you go to, if it ever pops out on you, a lot of times the arm will separate into those parts, and it's hard to get the bicep to pop back into the shoulder. Oh, come on, go in there, man. All right, well, man, I really want to get this arm back in, but I just can't seem to get it right now. My hands are a little sweaty too. I don't know if I can get a good enough grip. Come on. Try it. I apologize, guys. I know this is a long period of looking at nothing. Oh, that freaking arm, bro. I get it? Oh, I think I got it. Oh, okay, there we go. Finally. Oh man, that was a pain in the butt. All right, so I'm gonna be very, very careful going forward. But yeah, all right, finally got that back in there. Okay, I had to pop his head off because I was afraid of damaging it while I put the arm back in. So let me pop his head back in. Okay, there we go. All right, guys, I apologize for that. Excuse me, that long period of looking at nothing. But basically, yeah, one of the things I think this did happen to another figure of mine, Mafex. It might have been Thor. I don't know, but I want to say it did happen to another Mafex figure that I had. But basically, the issue is that his bicep, the way they designed like the arms is that you can see the forearm piece right here, right? And then you see like the little, obviously like the ratchet joint that allows him to bend his elbows. Well, basically, there's like a little piece running like through the middle of the bicep that comes out at the top and has like the little peg sticking out. And so when the arm pops out from the shoulder, the shoulder basically has like a little hole for the peg to plug into, but when the arm pops out from the shoulder, this bicep piece and this forearm piece basically become separate because that little peg part that's sticking out from the top, it kind of slides out from the bicep from the inside, and so you get like a separate piece of the forearm and like that peg, and then the bicep kind of like as its own separate piece, which makes it kind of hard to plug it back in because you not only have to line up the peg with the hole, but you have to make sure that the forearm piece is pushed up enough so that it'll snap back into there. And sometimes it's hard to see because you have the bicep piece blocking that that part where it plugs back in. So that was a bit of a struggle trying to get that back in there. So just be aware of that. I'm gonna be very careful going forward now. I'll actually use this arm to show off the range as far as the biceps. So, because I'm afraid to do it with the left arm now. So let's go ahead and do it on the right instead. So yeah, you can see that he does get a pretty good elbow bend. All right. So you can see obviously better than a 90 degrees. The elbow is a little bit ugly. You are going to get that, ugly piece kind of sticking out right there. Not the best design, but it is what it is. But yeah, so he does have the double jointed elbow, bicep swivel as we already saw. And then, let's see, I think he doesn't, does he have a butterfly joint? It's not really a butterfly. I think it kind of is, but it's not really meant, I guess, to get him so much range forward and back. Let's see. Okay, yeah, actually, yeah, it does get him a little bit of clearance going backwards, which is nice. So he's able to kind of reach his arm backwards about that far with the joint, and then bringing it forward, he can get about that much. So he's definitely not going to be the most flexible or most, crossbody pose figure, but he does, that joint definitely does help out a little bit with getting him some forward and back posing. So that is pretty nice. He can swing the arm a little forward and back. And then as far as rotation, he does get a nice windmill 360 for that. So that looks good. Very, very nice. All right. All right, so coming to the torso articulation. Now, one thing that I've seen in a lot of reviews and a lot of people complained about this was that his rib cage right here, the way they sculpted it, it kind of sticks out at the sides and it does look a little bit ugly, especially from certain angles. But an easy fix to that that I've seen a lot of people doing is people will just like apply heat, whether it be a hair dryer or just hot water or whatever, and basically kind of hold these two side pieces down and kind of just squeeze them in basically to the rest of his body, and eventually the plastic should kind of conform and keep that shape so that it's more flush to his lower torso. So if you want to do that, you can try that out. I probably won't do it with mine because honestly it doesn't bother me that much, but if you wanted to do that to make him look aesthetically more pleasing, you could definitely try something like that. But as far as the torso articulation, he's got an uppercut for diaphragm, so he's able to rotate side to side using that top joint. All right, and he can lean pretty nicely side to side as well, as you can see. So he's got some nice side to side bend or crunch. And then just using that top joint, he can bend forward about yay, yay forward and yay back. Just using that top joint, and that's actually pretty good going back, definitely better than going forward. He does get a little bit of that pregnant, belly look up here, and there is going to be some gappage if you push him all the way, so just be aware of that. Nothing too bad though, and then you can fix him back. And then as far as like the lower torso is concerned, let's see, does it rotate? Doesn't really feel like it's meant to rotate, but let's see. Can kind of, if you push him forward from that bottom joint, you can get a little more range forward. It does feel like there was some resistance, so I stopped it there. Didn't want to push it further. But let's see, as far as going backwards, let's try using some of that bottom joint. Well, yeah, you can hear that squeaking there. That's a little bit worried, troubling, but we'll be careful. So yeah, you can kind of push him. I don't want to push him too far back. But yeah, you can kind of get a little bit more if you use that bottom joint. But most of your range is definitely going to come from that upper torso joint, the diaphragm joint. So just be aware of that. And definitely don't push him too far. You definitely don't want to snap him apart. Because from what I've seen, I have seen him separated before. I think a lot of people do that when they give him the hot water treatment. But he does have basically a ball peg down here in the between, his crotch and like lower torso. There is like a ball peg piece that separates it. So I think it's a double ball peg system, so there's probably like another one up here as well. But yeah, don't quote me on that, but I think that is the case. As far as like his leg articulation, let's see. We'll start with out to the side. Pretty good. Yeah, he can pretty much do full splits. Let's try this side. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, Cap is flexible, so he can pretty much hit full splits, or close to it. So that's pretty nice. Definitely nice range there. Better than you see on a lot of Marvel Legends releases, as we know. All right, seems like he does have drop down hips as well. So you saw how far his hip was down right there. You see all that gappage in there, right? But that should allow you, more range. So I'll push it back up into the hips. Oops, knocked a little stand over. But yeah, I'll push it back up on both sides. So there you go. You may have to drop them down in order to get that really good side range. But as far as kicking forward, he can kick pretty decently forward. Maybe just shy of like a 90 degrees. And you see that there is going to be some gappage. It kind of naturally drops down as you bring it forward. So you're going to see a little bit of gappage from the side. Kicking backwards. Trying to push it back up here. There we go. Trying to see how far it goes when it's, flush with the body. He's going to be able to kick back about that far before it runs into the sculpt. And this plastic for like his belt and the crotch piece, it's a hard plastic, but it does have like a little bit of flex to it. So, it does allow for a little bit of clearance. If you drop the leg down, you might be able to get a little bit more kicking back. So just be aware of that. And then push that back in. No cut for a thigh swivel because, Mafex usually doesn't do that. But we do still have like the rotation that basically mimics a thigh swivel. So you can turn, rotate the leg side to side like that. So that is very nice. Double jointed knees that get us some pretty good range, or at least decent. Maybe not, can't quite kick his lower back or his butt, but still pretty good. I'd say that's pretty decent range. Let's see, does he have boot swivel? Is that independent? I don't think that's meant to be independent. Oh, maybe it is. I don't know. Well, this one seems to rotate pretty easily. Oh yeah, okay, so yeah, I guess he does have boot swivel actually on both sides. So that's a surprise. I didn't even know he had boot swivel. But yeah, he does have a little bit. There's that little white dot right there. Was that there from the beginning of the review, guys? I don't know. This little white speck right here on his pants. Might be a little paint chip or something, but oh well, not too bad. But anyways, yeah, we do have boot swivel, so he is able to rotate from the boots. And then as far as the feet, these little pad things are going to be kind of annoying because they are going to hinder his feet from kind of going up very much. So that's a little unfortunate, but we can try our best to work around them. So you can hinge the foot down about that far, which is all right. I think that's okay. Kicking up, again, these pieces are going to get in the way, so they are a little bit annoying. So he's mostly going to have like a flat type of foot look, unfortunately. But as far as like ankle pivot or rocker, I feel like I saw a review, and like I swear you can kind of get his ankles to rotate side to side or pivot, but it just takes a little messing around with. It takes some work, so I might not be able to do it in this review. But yeah, just be aware that I think if you mess with the feet a little bit, you might be able to get it to do what you want to as far as that. And then it seems like he has a hinge. Yeah, he does have a toe hinge, so you can also hinge up the toes up a little bit and then back to flat. So there you go. And he does have some nice tread on the bottom of his boots there. That's what that looks like. And yeah, so I think that's pretty much it as far as his articulation. Yeah, man, it did take me a minute to get this arm back in, but I'm gonna make sure I'm very careful when it comes to flexing this arm now, for his, or at least his elbow, because that's when it popped out on me. But yeah, that's why reviews are important, man. That's why we do these things, so you guys can be aware of what could potentially happen with these figures before you buy them, right? Definitely don't want to spend a lot of money on a nice figure and then find out it has those type of flaws or whatever. Not that it's unfixable flaw or anything like that, but it's definitely better to know beforehand, right? So you can make a more informed decision before you purchase. So yeah, there is your in-game Captain America. I want to pose him up with his shield, or at least Mjolnir. I think the shield may take a little work, so I might have to do that off camera. After this video, I'll put plenty of shorts and things like that showing off what he's capable of. But for now, I just kind of want to see him holding Mjolnir. I want to see what that looks like. So I'm gonna try the trigger finger hands to see, just real quick, just to see if he's able to actually hold Mjolnir in these. And the fingers themselves do feel like they're all in a hard plastic, of course, but they do feel like somewhat flexible. They got some flex to them, so you shouldn't have it shouldn't be too tough of a time trying to switch out his weapons and things like that, or get his weapons in his hand. Let's see. Hopefully, that's my hope, but we'll find out right now. I'm gonna try to get Mjolnir in one of these trigger finger hands. Get in there, Mjolnir. Get in there. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that wasn't too bad. Alright, so let's plug that in. Boom. Alright. So here we have Mr. Cap holding Mjolnir. Oh yeah. Looking badass. And I forgot to put his other hand on. Let's see if I can get one of his shield throwing hands on. I think that'll look pretty cool. Let's see, which one would be his for his left hand? Yeah, it'd be this one. There we go. Let's go ahead and try to see if we can manage to get the shield in. You know what? Let's go with the broken shield. I think the broken shield is gonna look cooler. So let's see. I can't remember if the straps on these are meant to come out or not. Oh yeah, they are. Okay, so yeah, that's one thing I forgot to mention about these shields, and I think it's definitely important. The little straps do come out, so you can see it has like those holes in there that plug in, and then here's the actual like little strap piece, so that you can take it out and plug it back in. I think you are gonna want to remove those when you're trying to put his hands in the shield or like through the strap. For this broken shield, it seems like this one isn't removable, so maybe only one of them is. So let's see how that works. Let's see here. Okay, let me get the broken shield. So I'm gonna try to slip it like that. Oh yeah, you might not even need the strap. Or actually, let's see, he's holding it like that. Okay, so I mean, this would be the hand, like, if I just had him kind of like holding the shield, like with his hand, instead of like being strapped around his arm. But, I mean, this doesn't look half bad. Let me go ahead and show you guys. Yeah, I got the clip in there. I got him holding the shield, the broken shield. So just real quick to show you guys. This is what he looks like holding the broken shield and Mjolnir at the same time. So I'm gonna try to show you guys. Try to angle the shield more towards the camera so you guys can see it better. But yeah, trying to get Cap in a nice badass battle stance here. And check that out. Oh man, that looks awesome, man. And I was able to do that real quick. So just using, the hand that has the clip already installed into it, I was able to clip his shield into his hand, the battle damaged one. And I think that looks epic, man. What do you guys think? I think that looks pretty damn cool. Oh man, Cap looks like he is ready to throw down. Got Mjolnir, got the shield, epic, man. So yeah, that was just a quick showcase of some of his accessories. Obviously, I'm gonna mess with this guy a lot more off camera, when this video is finished. And like I said, I'll be uploading shorts and stuff so you guys can see all the different things that you can do with him. But man, this is gonna be such a fun figure. I cannot wait to pose him up with Thor, have him going against Thanos, my ZD Toys Thanos. And then when I get that Iron Man, it's game over. When I get that Mark 85 from Mafex, it's game over, man. I'm gonna have my big three nice and ready to go for the display and have them on my shelf all facing off against Thanos. And then of course I'll gradually start getting all the other characters from Endgame. I'm trying to build my MCU display, man. I don't know if I mentioned that, but I am trying to slowly but surely get all the MCU characters. And yeah, so assemble my team, if you will. So yeah, this is looking really, really dope, man. Love this Cap. Absolutely love him. So let's go ahead and get into size comparisons and get up out of here, because we did end up doing basically an hour again. So, but y'all know how we get down over here. All right, so let's back Cap up a little bit. And booyah, let's go ahead and get him with his fellow compadre, his brother in arms. First, of course, we have the Mafex in-game Thor. You can see this is obviously going to be a little inaccurate because we've got two Mjolnirs simultaneously. We got Thor and Cap with the Mjolnir, but just so y'all can see the epicness of this, what this looks like. Oh man, yeah, they look really nice side by side, man. I've been waiting to put these two together. Absolutely awesome. So there he is with the in-game Thor from Mafex. And yeah, I think scale-wise, yeah, they look pretty good. I think they honestly, Mafex could have made their Thor a little bit bigger. I would say he is taller than Cap just by a little bit, but I would have liked to see him just maybe a little bit bigger, or maybe like his frame, maybe frame-wise, they could have made him look a little bit bigger, because Cap does almost seem bigger next to him, at least frame-wise. Even though this was obviously like Fat Thor, so he wasn't like super in shape, but I still think he should look a little bit bigger. But I think overall this still looks pretty good. And these two are gonna look epic on the shelf, man. So yeah, there you go. We got your in-game Thor from Mafex. Put it right there. Of course, we gotta show off the ZD Toys Thanos, one of Cap's, main enemies from this movie, or the main enemy. And there he is. And you can see those stack up pretty well, man. I think the size wise, I think ZD Toys did a pretty good job as far as like the scaling with the Mafex figures. I think this ZD Toys Thanos works out the best. I think he's got, the right, pretty accurate amount of height over Cap. Looks pretty much as he should next to Cap. Not like a giant or anything, but definitely quite a bit bigger. So that is very, very cool. Love how that looks. All right, so we got the ZD Toys Thanos. Move him aside. We'll bring in an SH Figure Arts. We've got our red Hurricaneer. Booyah. All right, we got Shane Clark from Ninja Storm. And let's see, who else we're going to pull in the frame here. Let's get him with the Mafex Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man. All right, so this is the Amazing Spider-Man 2 Deluxe Andrew Garfield figure from Mafex, and I think they both look pretty nice side by side. You can see back then, man, Mafex had this kind of like yellowish skin tone to a lot of their face sculpts, and it's nice to see that with this, new Cap figure, much newer. We have a more realistic, skin tone, not all that yellow stuff going on in his face. So that looks pretty good. I like how that looks. Man, imagine if the Power Rangers and the Avengers teamed up, man. Honestly, I'm gonna have that kind of set up at one point in my display. That's always like a fantasy of mine, is seeing like the Avengers fight alongside the Power Rangers. It's like a little daydream that I have often. Here is the SH Figure Arts Mark 6 Iron Man Battle Damage Edition that we just looked at. And yeah, you can see scaling wise, SHF is definitely smaller than the Mafex. So this scaling probably wouldn't work out very well. Cap is, bigger than Iron Man, which, definitely doesn't really look right. Guy in an armored suit should look bigger. And then here he is with the Mafex Infinity War Mark 50 Iron Man. And that is a much better comparison, as you can see. That's more accurate to how things should look. Because, we got the same line here. So Mafex and Mafex, there you go. Our Mark 50 Iron Man with our in-game cap. Booyah. Love it, love it. Let's get these guys out the way. Let's bring in we got the retro card Shocker right here from Spider-Man, Hasbro, Marvel Legends. Got a retro card Shocker. And then for NECA, we have, of course, our Assassin's Creed Brotherhood Ezio right there. So, yep, that looks pretty solid. I like that. I like that. Good, good, good. Let's move them along. Let's bring in our Odious, The Living Curse by Unparalleled Universe. An excellent, excellent figure. If you haven't seen my review on this guy, be sure to check it out. It is on the channel. This is such an awesome figure, man. There's so many applications you can do from this figure alone, like not only with him, but like with other figures, with the soft goods, the cloth and everything. I mean, that like just a fantastic figure. I love how this figure turned out. So shout outs to Unparalleled Universe. Let's bring in the Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man from Hasbro. Marvel Legends, get him in the frame there. And yeah, scaling pretty good. Hopefully, might be hard to tell from this angle, but Cap, I would say, is a little bit, maybe just a hair taller than Spidey, or maybe they're about the same. I feel like Cap's just a little bit taller, but Odious is definitely the kind of bigger than both of them. I don't know how well this angle shows that, but he's the tallest of the three. So moving these guys aside, who else? We got the old Bandai Lightspeed Rescue Pink Ranger. We got Dana here. And we'll bring in the Spectacular Spider-Man, the black suit webbed version that we recently reviewed. And booyah. That's how they stack. He is significantly shorter than Cap, and so is she. So there you go. Let's move them out the way. Who else? Who else? McFarlane Toys. We've got our DC Rebirth Deathstroke to finish it. And we have our Lightning Collection, custom made Wild Force Red. All right, so there you go. And that looks beautiful, man. And yeah, I think that's pretty much. All right, we'll do two more. Two more. I got y'all. We'll do the DC Universe Classics New 52 All Stars Batman. That, the mouthful one. I never know if I'm saying his name right because it's such a mouthful, but that guy. And then we have the integrated suit Tom Holland figure from No Way Home. So there you go, guys. Hopefully, yeah, you can see that size comparison there. But booyah, that is gonna pretty much do it. All right, screw it. I'll throw him in just for giggles. We've got our Hiya Toys Godzilla from King of the Monsters here for a random size comparison. And for a Black Series, we have the Duels End Darth Vader figure from Hasbro. All right, just for shits and giggles. All right, but that's it. Enough size comparisons. So that is going to conclude my review, y'all, of the Mafex Endgame Captain America. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was informative. If you are looking to get this cap, I hope that you do get him in your collection sooner than later. He is pretty pricey on the aftermarket, so, just know that. I definitely had to put some money up for this guy, but, I was glad to finally get it in the collection because I've been wanting, this cap forever. This is going to be like, pretty much my definitive MCU cap figure going forward. So I'm very, very excited to have it. And yeah, I think it's a really awesome release. Let me make sure I didn't leave anything out that I wanted to mention. Let's see, a lot of small pieces here. Gotta be careful not to lose anything. Oh yeah, I just wanted to mention real quick also that there are some like alternate heads from different companies that you can switch out for this cap. Maniple, I don't know how you say it, but it's probably Maniple. Maniple and Noda Studios have made alternate heads, I think, for this cap. For sure, Maniple. I think Noda Studios did like a weapon set also. Like they give you a shield that I think is compatible with this Mafex cap, as well as I think Mjolnir and like a bunch of other effects. Battle effects. Then you have like Takara Tony. I know they did one for Thanos. I don't know if they did one for Cap, but they did one for Thanos for the SH Figure Arts Final Battle Thanos. You have like a bunch of it was like a weapon set, like all these extra battle parts that you could add to them. So I just wanted to put that out there. Real quick, here is a picture of the SH Figure Arts in-game cap, just so you can get a feel of what that looks like in comparison. And this is the final battle edition that I was talking about. Okay, so real quick, just so you guys know what that figure looks like, even though I don't have it, but if you wanted to see kind of like a comparison, get a feel of it. You can see how crazy they went with the battle damage. They made him look like very dirty and stuff, which is how he looked in the final battle. And you can see his spread of accessories. It would have been nice